Hi there, and welcome to the Daily Gardener, and thank you for listening. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's January 24th. Today we celebrate a man who was an avid gardener and a friend of John Bartram's, and we learn about the founder of bacteriology and modern microbiology. We learn about the impact of Wardian cases on plant exploration and the American playwright who designed her own garden on her estate. Today's Unearthed Words feature winter poems from the author of Anne of Green Gables, and we grow that garden library with a memoir from a modern scientist whose unique commentary on the natural world challenges our thinking, our responsibilities, and our actions. I'll talk about some new tech to help you listen to podcasts no matter where you are. And then we'll wrap things up with a moving editorial about skunkweed. But first, let's catch up on a few recent events. Here's today's curated articles. This first post was by Homeador, and it featured a home called Ruskin, Elwood by Fieldwork. This home caught my eye because aside from the seamlessness with nature, you have to check out the hidden bar, the light fixtures, and the bathroom. Well, basically all of it. If you like looking at homes and getting ideas, curating all kinds of different concepts for your own home, this original 3-story residence that was designed in 2017 by Fieldwork is chock full of ideas, and it's situated in Melbourne, Australia. You can pull up this article and look through all of the different pictures just by searching for the word home in the Facebook group for the show. Next up was a post by the English Garden called Feeding Birds in Winter, the Best Food to Choose. Now's the time of year when gardeners can expect to see lots of visiting birds in their garden. This was a great post from Kate Bradbury, who says, birds need fat and plenty of it. So setting out things like peanuts, suet, and sunflower seeds are ideal, while grated cheese, chopped apples, and cake crumbs help feed ground-feeding species like the song thrush and the wren. You can read all about Kate's ideas just by typing in the word birds into the Facebook group for the show, and Kate's post will pop right up. Now, if you'd like to check out these curated articles for yourself, you're in luck because I share all of it with the listener community in the free Facebook group for the show, the Daily Gardener Community. If you want access to all of those articles the next time you're on Facebook, just search for Daily Gardener Community and request to join. I'd love to meet you in the group, and I'd love to help you improve your Facebook feed by interspersing good garden articles amongst your pictures and updates from your family and friends. Here's today's brevities. On this day in 1735, Peter Collinson wrote to his dear friend and fellow gardener, John Bartram, after receiving skunkweed, Symplocarpus fotitis. He wrote, "My good friend John Bartram, I am very sensible of the great pains and many toilsome steps you took to collect so many rare plants scattered at a distance. I shall not soon forget it. In some measure, to show my gratitude, I have sent thee a small token, a calico gown for thy wife, and some odd little things that may be of use to the children and family. They come in a box of books with waste paper, which will serve to wrap up seeds, etc. You cannot believe how well the little case of plants survived the journey, being put under the captain's bed and not exposed to any light until I received them. The warmth of the ship caused the skunkweed to put forth 2 fine blossoms, very beautiful. It is of the arum genus. I hope to make a present of part of the seeds to a very curious person, Lord Petrie, and I hope to procure thee some present for thy trouble of collecting. I am thy very sincere friend, Peter Collinson. Well, skunkweed was one of Bartram's favorite flowers. It's also known as Eastern skunk cabbage, and it's a low-growing wetland or marsh plant from eastern North America. The bruised leaves of skunkweed release a fragrance reminiscent of skunk. The botanist William Nearing wrote about the odor of skunk cabbage, saying its strong and fetid odor resembles decaying flesh. Skunk cabbages are thermogenic, meaning they have the ability to generate temperatures up to 27 to 63 degrees Fahrenheit above the surrounding air temp, so that it thaws the frozen ground in snow as it grows early in the spring. Thanks to its ability to thermoregulate, it emerges out of the ground and looks like a little teepee of leaves. But inside that teepee, it's warm and working on sending up a bloom. Once it does, on a 42-degree day, you can reach under the leathery hood of a skunk cabbage flower, and the spadix will feel warm to the touch. As Collinson mentioned in his letter, skunk cabbage is a member of the arum family, which makes it a cousin to Jack in the Pulpit. In the Pacific Northwest, skunk cabbage leaves are still called Indian wax paper because the leaves were used to line baskets, and the leaves were also used in steaming pits and to package preserved food. And in the great Japanese bogs of Hokkaido, 10,000 visitors a day stop by to see the emerging skunk cabbage in bloom, and the visit is a traditional celebration of spring. And today is the birthday of the Prussian biologist, botanist, and writer Ferdinand Kohn, who was born on this day in 1828. Regarded as one of the founders of bacteriology and modern microbiology, Ferdinand recognized bacteria as plants. Thanks to Ferdinand, we understand the life cycles of bacteria as well as their metabolic limitations. And we learned that microbes could be classified by their shape: round, short rods, spirals, and threads. And it was on this day that the botanist John Smith wrote a letter to Nathaniel Bagshaw Ward. The letter was dated January 24th, 1842, and John was writing from the Royal Botanic Garden, Kew. Ward had written to Smith to ask whether or not his closed glazed cases had made a difference in terms of the number of healthy and viable plants they were able to receive from countries across the ocean. John wrote, "Dear Sir, in reply to your inquiry regarding the results obtained by using close-glazed cases for the transfer of living plants from one country to another, I beg to say that the several cases which have arrived have shown that although some of the plants did not make it, Still, the deaths are few in proportion to the number that we have witnessed in cases having open lattice or wirework lids covered with tarpaulin or some such covering. It is much to be regretted that close-glazed cases were not in use during the years botanical collectors were employed in New Holland and the Cape of Good Hope. For this garden, a very great number of the plants which they sent home were dead on their arrival as a result of the imperfect perfection during the voyage to this country. Therefore, from my experience, I have no hesitation in considering your cases the best for the purpose desired. So, Wardian cases made all the difference. Today is the birthday of the American novelist, short story writer, playwright, and designer Edith Wharton, who was born on this day in 1862. In 1904, Edith wrote Italian Villas and Their Gardens. Edith thought gardens should be a series of outdoor rooms, and she wrote, "In the blending of different elements, the subtle transition from the fixed and formal lines of art to the shifting and irregular lines of nature, and lastly, in the essential convenience and livableness of the garden, lies the fundamental secret of the old garden magic." Edith's summer cottage estate in western Massachusetts was called the Mount. From the Mount, Edith could look down over her property and see her flower gardens. She had designed the gardens herself. There's a sizable French flower garden, a sunken Italian garden, a lime walk with linden trees, and even grass steps. Edith's niece was the garden designer Beatrix Jones Ferrand. In unearthed words, here are some children's poems about winter from the beloved author of Anne of Green Gables. This first one's called The Garden in Winter by Lucy Maud Montgomery. Frosty white and cold it lies underneath the fretful skies. Snowflakes flutter where the red banners of the poppies spread, and the drifts are wide and deep where the lilies fell asleep. But the sunsets over it throw flame-like splendor, lucent glow, and the moonshine makes it gleam like a wonderland of dream. And the sharp winds all the day pipe and whistle shrilly gay. Safe beneath the snowdrifts lie rainbow buds of by and by. In the long sweet days of spring, music of bluebells shall ring, and its faintly golden cup many a primrose will hold up. Though the winds are keen and chill, roses' hearts are beating still. In the garden tranquility dreams of happy hours to be. In the summer days of blue, all its dreamings will come true. This next one's called A Winter Dawn by Lucy Maud Montgomery. Above the marge of night, a star still shines, and on the frosty hills, the somber pines harbor an eerie wind that crooneth low over the glimmering wastes of virgin snow. Through the pale arch of Orient, the morn comes in a milk-white splendor, newly born. A sword of crimson cuts in twain the gray banners of shadow hosts, and lo, the day. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, Lab Girl by Hope Jahren. Lab Girl is the story of Hope Jahren, who is an award-winning scientist. Hope has been studying paleobiology since 1996. In this book, Hope writes about trees and plants and soil in scientific yet passionate prose. Her mother has a degree in English literature, and her influence made Hope a voracious reader. Hope writes, "Science has taught me that everything is more complicated than we first assume, and that being able to derive happiness from discovery is a recipe for a beautiful life." Hope's book is part memoir and part commentary on the natural world. Personally, Hope has worked tirelessly to find funding for her research. Professionally, Hope has worked up close and personal with plants, both the living and the fossilized, learning their secrets and remaining unsure of their mysteries. What I loved about Hope's book are the little asides that she makes while she's trying to make a point. She might reference a popular culture icon or a TV show or a video game, while at the same time explaining how plants dominate our world. And I love what Hope wrote after losing a beloved childhood tree. She said, "Each beginning is the end of a waiting. We are each given exactly one chance to be. Each of us is both impossible and inevitable. Every replete tree was first a seed that waited." This book came out in 2017. You can get a used copy of Lab Girl by Hope Jahren and support the show using the Amazon link in today's show notes for under $3. And here's today's great gift for a gardener, or I should say a gardener who listens to podcasts. It's Amini's wireless earbuds. These are Bluetooth headphones, and they're just $39.99. I ended up getting this pair of headphones after losing my AirPods. I was devastated and I felt bad because I had told the kids not to lose theirs, and then I turn around and lose mine. Well, I certainly didn't want to pay another $150 to get wireless headphones. And so I took a chance on these earbuds. And you know what? They work just as good. And they fit better in my ear. If you've been tempted to get on the wireless earbud train, but haven't wanted to fork over so much money, I completely understand. But this pair of headphones would be a great way to tiptoe into this accessory. These earbuds get 4.5 stars on Amazon, and they're an Amazon choice. Plus, they qualify for free shipping on Amazon Prime. You can get yourself a pair of the Amini wireless earbuds or Bluetooth headphones and support the show using the Amazon link in today's show notes for just $39.99. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. Today is the anniversary of the death of the American newspaper editor, essayist, short story writer, and poet Ben-Hur Lampman, who died on this day in 1954. Today we began the show by talking about one of Bartram's favorite plants, skunkweed. And in researching skunkweed, I just happened to stumble on this article from March 2nd, 1942, and it was a column that Ben Lampman wrote in defense of the skunkweed, or the eastern skunk cabbage, and it appeared in the Medford, Oregon newspaper. It's magnificent, and I thought you would enjoy it. What a flower the skunk cabbage is, to be sure. When it lifts to burn coolly in the swampy wayside, there are few wayfarers who do not exclaim to see it. It is singularly compelling in its carved golden stillness. There seems to be something votive about it, as perhaps there is. It is as though the artificer had shaped a great mellow candle flame out of the wetness and marsh loam. The reason one is sure that people care about it when first these are lifted is simply because they must. There is no other choice, for the elder law is that people must always care about beauty. A skunk cabbage is a kind of calla lily, and though its odor is faintly mephitic, you don't have to sniff it. One of the advantages of having skunk cabbages about is that the candles are kindled between pussy willows and trilliums. The skunk cabbage is the first to feel that faintest football of the returning spring, and the pasture is lighted by it in the swales where the cattle stand to stare southward. It may be supposed that the farmer who tends the cattle thinks he has little use for a skunk cabbage if he meditates in the least on its utility. But if ever the year should come when the golden, cool candles were not kindled, the farmer would be the first to remark this and worry about it. For a farmer can't plow and a farmer can't plant until the skunk cabbage is up everywhere. When the redwings see it afar, they hasten. They come down with a weave and a rush, talking silver, for they know by this sign that it is permitted the redwing to remain and pay court to one another and to choose their nesting places in the sedges. The farmer looks from the knoll where his barn stands. He looks over the lowlands, and there are the golden cousins of the calla lily. It's getting along toward the spring of the year. The red cow will be coming in soon. One mentions these somewhat instinctive reactions to skunk cabbages only to show that people do think about them, even when it is not confessed, and that skunk cabbages have contact and useful contact with the commonplace contentment of our lives. You take now a hillside and let it slope down to the road and make itself a sort of bowl set in the green grass and lean a few alders toward it. Gray and gentle, you take that place with plenty of skunk cabbages planted there by the dark woman's hand, and you get a real garden. There isn't anything equal to it, not that comes directly to mind. Those cool golden candle flames that seem so still, so still. Listen, a fellow can hear the water somewhere hurrying down to the creek. That place with all those candle flames lighted and lifted is a good deal like a prayer. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great weekend in the garden, and we'll see you on Monday.